All right, let's untangle one of the biggest paradoxes in the Indian economy. We're talking about millions of small businesses, the real engine of the country, and a web of good intentions that somehow become this massive, tangled problem. Let's get into it.
First, just look at this number, because it really sets the stage for everything we're about to discuss. 320 million. That's how many people in India get their paycheck from what we call an MSME, a micro, small, or medium enterprise. I mean, think about that. That's not just a workforce. That's more people than live in most countries on Earth.
And hey, it's not just about the jobs either. Take a look at these numbers. MSMEs are churning out nearly a third of the country's entire GDP. They're behind almost half of all our manufacturing output, and they contribute a whopping 40% of all exports. So yeah, to say they're a powerhouse, that's putting it lightly. So all these numbers just go to show without a doubt that MSMEs are the economic backbone of India. But here's the thing, that backbone, it's under some serious strain, and from a place you might not expect. Yeah, that unexpected source, it's actually a maze of good intentions. The government has launched so many programs to help these businesses, which is great, right? But in practice, it turns out that entrepreneurs are just getting lost in this incredibly complex and confusing web of schemes. I mean, just to put a number on it, the Ministry of MSME by itself runs around 18 different schemes. 18! Can you imagine being a small business owner? You're already juggling a million things. And now you have to try and figure out which of these 18 programs is right for you, how to apply for it, and then how to keep track of it all. It's just overwhelming.
So there's an official name for this mess: scheme fragmentation. But what does that actually mean for someone on the ground? Well, it means you've got dozens of programs all trying to do basically the same thing, but they don't talk to each other. They operate in these silos. Each one has its own rules, its own website, its own mountain of paperwork. It's a logistical nightmare.
And this is what happens because of it. You get this crazy administrative complexity. You have different ministries doing the exact same work, which is a huge waste of resources. It becomes really hard for these programs to reach businesses out in rural areas or those run by women. And the coordination between the central and state governments, it just breaks down. All this complexity, it comes with a real, measurable cost. This isn't just some minor inconvenience. It's literally holding back the entire economy. Okay, get this. 95%. The World Bank tells us that's how many of India's MSMEs are actually micro enterprises. We're talking about the smallest of the small, the mom and pop shops, the local artisans. These are the businesses with the fewest resources, and they're the ones most likely to just give up when faced with such a complicated system. And look, this isn't just some theory. India's own policy think tank, Niti Aayog, ran the numbers. They estimate that these programs have the potential to be 100% effective, but the actual outcome, it's closer to 80%. That gap, that 20%, it means that for every 5 rupees the government spends trying to help, 1 rupee basically gets lost in the confusion, wasted. And on top of all that, you have this staggering financing gap. We're talking about over 25 lakh crore rupees. That's how much money MSMEs need to grow, but just can't get their hands on. And when you have all these different fragmented credit schemes, it makes that massive problem even harder to solve. This quote from Niti Aayog really hits the nail on the head. Because of this fragmentation, businesses get partial benefits, a little bit of help here, a little bit of support there. But what they don't get is that integrated, holistic support they really need to, say, upgrade their tech, scale up their operations, and most importantly, create more jobs. Okay, so that's the problem. But the story doesn't end there, thankfully, because the government recognizes this issue, and it's now trying to forge a much simpler path forward. And the key word here is convergence. So what does this convergence look like? Well, it's a pretty clear 4-step game plan. First, unify everything under a single registration system, the UDM portal. Next, integrate all those scattered financial schemes. Then, consolidate support for regional business clusters. And finally, streamline all the different platforms for skills and market access into one place. And the best part? This isn't just some ideas stuck on a PowerPoint slide. These efforts are already delivering some pretty amazing results. You've got over 74 million businesses on that single UDM portal now. The emergency credit line scheme pumped out a massive 4.5 lakh crore rupees in capital. And on the government's e-marketplace, small businesses are now grabbing over 40% of the value. Bottom line, convergence is actually working.
So a lot of great progress has been made, for sure, but the journey is definitely not over yet. Let's look at what the experts are saying needs to happen next. What we're looking at here is a huge shift in strategy, a whole new way of thinking. The old approach was like giving a business owner a box of scattered puzzle pieces, just fragmented bits of support. The road ahead is about building an integrated digital backbone, a connected chain that links businesses to the exact support they need right when they need it.
So how do we make that happen? Here are the key recommendations on the table. First, build one single, smart, AI-powered national portal for everything. Second, start tying budgets to real-world outcomes, like jobs created, not just money spent. Third, double down on supporting those regional business clusters. And finally, and this one is crucial, create a permanent council so all the ministries are always working together, not in their own little silos. So it all really boils down to this one big question, doesn't it? The vision is there. The goal is to build this powerful digital backbone to support the smallest of small businesses. We've seen that the progress is real, but the challenges are too. Can this new integrated approach finally untangle that knot and unleash the full potential of India's 320 million person economic engine? That really is the critical question for the years ahead.